Procedure considerations. For approval, Chief Assessor, Tax Assessment in coordination with the Director of Tax Claim Bureau and Solicitor within 180 days completes an assessment of the viability of an annual increasing 0.25 mil per year county property senior citizen tax rebate for homeowners 66 and older who have paid county property taxes for a minimum of 10 years, currently own a home as their primary residence in Carbon County, and meet to be determined maximum income requirements. Note a 0.50 mil per year for widows and widowers would apply.
Move to approve. So in regards to that, we do have a state property tax rent rebate program. Does anyone know how many senior citizens in Carbon County participate in this program?
No.
Right. We know that of the 12.25 mil that the county requires from our residents, that rebate is not applicable, right? That's a state program, right, that the state pays. Currently, right now, there's about 65,000 residents in Carbon County. 21% of them are senior citizens. I'm going to use the demographic 65 and above versus 66 that's stated in here. That takes us down to about 14,000 senior citizens. Now, 75% of them are in owner-occupied homes, right? And that can be broken down by about 5,800 married, 800 to 900 widow or widowers, and about 4,300 who are divorced. Now, the number we don't know is how many residents have been in Carbon County and paying taxes for more than 10 years. I have a pretty good figure based upon census data. Keep in mind the median value of a home in Carbon County is about $142,000. So the tax assessed value is about $70,000. So therefore, what we see, a Carbon County resident, a senior citizen, living in a home, paying about $867 to the county, right? So the program that I'm asking to be considered, to be reviewed and looked at for viability. Again, this is an assessment. We make decisions on analysis, right? That would give a senior citizen $18.95 a year. Over their expected life, understanding about 78 is the life expectancy of a citizen here in Carbon County, the county would be rebating that individual $1,250. A widower, about $2,450, $2,500. Bear in mind, in 1 year, that $18.95 is enough money to get a senior citizen to the senior center and back 32 times. 32 times, right? We're willing to give county employees for showing up at work, right, an increase of 3%. Our senior citizens on Social Security had a 1% increase. Senator Casey yesterday and our hospitals emphasized in the COVID-19 focus group that we had the importance of keeping senior citizens in their homes. Well, what if they don't have a home to go to because they can't afford the property taxes? We've seen many municipalities again this year raise their taxes. We've seen school districts also raise their taxes. I would emphasize that due consideration of this is reasonable. Other than giving it due consideration, I think is irresponsible. It's inconsiderate of the senior citizens. I know Commissioner Warner has done a great job working with our food pantries. How many senior citizens do we see coming up to those food pantries? Quite a few of them. Well, I'd prefer them not having to roll up. So if I could give them $18.95 a year more, I would definitely do that. Again, the pay raises we gave out equate to about, let's see the dollar, almost $800,000 when you talk about benefits and salaries, all wrong. That's cumulative, right? It continues to go up every year. And we're not willing to consider assessing the viability of $18.95 to your mother, your father, your aunt, your uncle on Social Security. The equality clause does not apply to tax rebates.
And I mean, just out of discussion, I mean, I don't mind this idea, but I thought, I mean, this was something that was brought up last year, and I thought we were going off of what the census were gonna give us. And what is our projected, the people that are 65, 64, 63, 60, what are we gonna be looking into the next, 5, 6 years? If this is gonna continue. And I think one of these programs, and I think you were talking about the food banks, and I called the Department of Agriculture up probably a couple months ago when they gave them extra vouchers. And I was looking into programs, and they actually got twice as much money as what they were, they can go there, and I think they got from 20, and the families could have got 40 now. So they were getting $20 more for the eligible people for this. And this here, I mean, and like I said, I'm not against this, but what are the rules and criteria for the people?
Well, that's the whole point behind, and I believe it's quite clear, completes an assessment of the viability. Right?
And I think it's something that we could look into, but now we're gonna have our departments working on this. Are they gonna have, I mean, maybe they have the time for it, I don't know. But when are the census out, and we would have all that information on the census?
Well, the first census data comes out by the Constitution. It has to be reported in this month to the President of the United States.
Okay.
Again, the fact is, am I willing to take a few hours of individuals' time to check the viability of a program? Absolutely. I can see what we did during COVID when it comes to work performance and the ability to get that work done. There's fat there. There's fat in time. Are people using 100% of their time that they can invest it to help our senior citizens? I doubt it.
The problem I have with this is there's no end date, and you're talking about annually increasing the 0.25 mils a year, every year.
It ends when they die. I said, Commissioner Notestein, the actuary tables are clear. They lived to 78. Right? That's what we can expect to live. That's 11 years. Over their lifetime, eligible for this program, $1,250, more or less double that for those senior citizens who are widows or widowers. And again, I'm not asking anyone to make a decision on the program. I'm asking to make the decision on having this assessed. Assessing helping our senior citizens who are being forced out of their homes, who are under financial duress and need our help and need the county help and not having to wait for the state or federal government. We should be taking care of our own senior citizens.
I agree with that, but that small amount is not going to make that much of a difference in those seniors staying in the home.
Well, let me say that. It's not going to make a difference, but we were willing to give 30 cents for an individual to go to the senior center. We felt 30 cents, 60 cents a round trip to the senior center made a difference. Yet 32 trips to a senior center doesn't make a difference.
Well, to begin with, you don't need a motion to look into this further. So
no, it's to put everyone on the record to show that we're committed to the senior citizens, and not only words, but in additional actions. And you can say that about every procedural consideration on here, is that, well, in the natural course of our carrying out our duties and responsibilities, we'll look at that. No, let's go on the record for every one of these, specific this one starting out saying, we're committed to checking the viability of this. Does it make sense? If it doesn't make financial sense, if it's not in the best interest of the county and county government, well, then we don't do it. But you don't know until you step in there and you assess it.
can we have a motion? Do we have a second?
No.
Okay, move on.
There's no second. Motion dies for lack of a second. Next item, the Carbon County Board of Commissioners establishes a working group composed of representatives from departments under the commissioners, row offices, and the courts to develop a concept and associated template for a reoccurring biannual State of the County report commencing with January 2022 that is inclusive of all county-funded departments and offices.
Move to approve. So in discussion, right? How's the county doing? No one knows.
I'll agree to that one.
There's.
I'll second that one.
You know.
And we did a little bit of that at the meeting last week, so.
Right, and we are, and I think it's important that we know how the departments and offices are doing that we're funding, because we're really not even provided sufficient information, I think, to make well-informed decisions during the budget process, because there are not methods and measures of effectiveness. There's not any type of status report of how the county is doing.
Call for a vote. Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Next item, for approval, the Carbon County Board of Commissioners develops a policy of invitation that formally requests municipality elected officials to attend and present annual State of the Municipality updates to the Board of Commissioners during its weekly public meetings.
I'll go ahead and make that motion. And then-
I'll second that.
Yeah. if I
Question,
could for
discussion on that.
Yeah.
How could, why would someone from Kidder Township want to hear about the progress maybe of somebody in Mahoning or the lower end of the county? And I feel that is a responsibility of the municipality themselves to get that information out. And some do
Yeah.
through a bi-monthly or semi-annual publication
Yeah.
or letters to their constituents. So that I'm not in favor
Yeah,
of.
I don't disagree that the municipalities should be talking together, but there are stovepipes of information, right? Or chimneys where there's not cross-talking. Give you a perfect example. If there's a property in Jim Thorpe that crossed the boundary with Mahoning Township, it would be great because it impacts county, it impacts Mahoning, and it impacts Jim Thorpe. Impacts the watershed on Mock Chunk also, right? When it comes to Mock Chunk Lake Park. Wouldn't it be great if there was full awareness that that was going to take place or there was a plan for development on there? The sooner we know about it, the better informed we are, the better we can help manage and work together to resolve any challenges or issues that may resolve. The lack of conversation inhibited a successful development of Packarding Yards. This is an opportunity for us to invite, request, give an opportunity, one municipality every other week to come for 10 or 15 minutes, let us know how they're doing in their local community, keeps us connected to the residents and the elected officials in that community, and allows us to better understand and have a pulse of what's going on in those particular communities. And I would add, lastly, to this opportunity for them, we don't run the county, commissioners run county government, but we do influence it. We do have a need for advocacy. And we have a platform now as we're projecting out to quote unquote the world on social media, right? We also have a chance to better inform the residents of Carbon County is what is occurring in their neighboring municipalities, right? It's not about who needs to know, but it's about who doesn't know. And let's provide a medium and a platform to keep the citizens better informed of what's occurring in county and municipality government in Carbon County.
Call for the vote.
I mean, Is there any way of like just sending a preliminary questionnaire out to them to see if they want to participate in it?
Well, this is a request.
I mean,
We have an opportunity on 31 January for you to come and present 15 minutes during the Board of Commissioner meeting on the state of your municipality, the issues and challenges that might be before you and your elected bodies and residents. They say yay, they say no. So the vision would be the beginning of the year, you send out an invite to the 23 municipalities. We have designated this week your 10 to 15 minutes. Please let us know by this suspense date if an elected official would like to present before the board. If not, well, then they don't. Again, we provide opportunity. We're not directing. It's an ask, not a tell.
We have provided an opportunity for the municipalities to work together. And you know yourself from going to meetings that it is very frustrating
It
that
is.
you don't get very much participation from some of the municipalities when we're trying to set up a program that we can work together and better all our governments and share information.
Sure.
And I just don't know what makes you think that, doing this will really make a big difference.
Well, what I think comes from, an aborted rescue attempt in April of 1980, right in Desert One. The greatest failure is the failure to try. I'm willing to try. I'll write the memorandum. I'll send it out. I'll personally deliver it to every municipality elected official if need be. But again, I'm not afraid of failure in order to move things forward in Carbon County. And I'm not afraid to put in the work to make it happen.
Call for vote.
Okay. Mr. Arner?
no.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
No.
Next item, the Carbon County Board of Commissioners, in consultation with all relevant stakeholders, reevaluates the terms of Act 18 Hotel Occupancy Tax Contract between the Pocono Mountain Visitors Bureau, Carbon County Chamber and Economic Development Corporation, which is the official county tourism promotion agency, and the government of Carbon County.
Move to approve. So currently, Carbon County receives 4% admin, and then we receive 20% of the first 500K, 10% beyond 500K. And it has been successful. We're getting pretty good resources. We actually had a very good year, I think, as most of us recognize. Carbon Chamber is responsible also for running the hotel tax disbursement program. Can anyone tell me how many awards were given and how much in 2020 from the hotel tax disbursement program?
No, I don't know that offhand. Had we known it was going to be thrown in our face at this meeting, then we would have had it. But let me tell you that it took us a long time to get this agreement. Carbon County has the best agreement of any of the 4 counties involved in this. As the people at the Chamber, County Chamber and Tourist Promotion can tell you, it was a huge struggle. To begin with, this is a 4-county vacation bureau. And what happened to us was went to the other counties first. And we got a lot of pressure from the members of the other counties as well, that they weren't too happy that we had a lot better deal than them to begin with. And it was a struggle. They got the approval of the other 3 counties before they even talked to us to make it even more difficult for us to get an agreement. If we're going to do any agreements with the 4 counties, with the Pocono Mountain Vacation Bureau, I think it has to be the 4 counties involved and not just Carbon. Right now, we have a 5-year contract. And I can't see us going back to the table unless we have the other 3 counties with us.
Well, best is relative and subjective.
Everybody
What's
is.
better, we can also have. again, right now, and again, everyone saw these procedural motions on Monday. So there was opportunity for all of us to do any research that may have been required. And I'm looking at the agreement here. And is it a 3-year or a 5-year agreement with CCEDC? Thought it actually is a 3-year agreement through December 31st, 2024. And that was motion 19463 of October 17th, 2019. I've been hammering at this. There's a lack of transparency when it comes to the hotel tax disbursement program. You can't go online and see who's applying, who successfully received a grant, who didn't receive a grant. Why did they not receive a grant? There's a problem there. There was an economic, there was a study done, return on the environment. What it didn't discuss was the return or the impact on the environment of tourism. Carbon County has Josiah White Park, Mock Chunk Lake Park, and a section of the D&L Trail, all that have to be maintained and should be upgraded and continue to be improved. Renegotiating this contract to provide us additional funds helps us create a better environment for visitors in Carbon County. 3/4 of the individuals who use Mock Chunk Lake Park are not county residents. They come, they use it, they fund it, and no doubt they bring financial resources to it. But it's costly. It's costly when you have that many people coming into Mock Chunk Lake Park, into Josiah White Park, running the D&L Trail from the pedestrian bridge up to the north to where the county property ends. We're going to have to maintain it. It's going to cost us money. Here is an opportunity to take funds that are specifically focused on that and gain more funds, so it's not coming directly from county residents, but rather from the hotel tax, which comes from visitors who primarily are using the facilities and open spaces we provide.
We have a motion, no second, correct?
No second.
No second to the motion. Let's move forward. Move on.
Motion dies for lack of a second. 6th item, the Director, Human Resources, within 60 days and in consultation with employee union representatives, the court administrator, row officers, and department directors provide options for an organization and workplace climate survey.
Move to approve. So what do our county employees think of their leadership? What do the county employees think of their work environment? What do county employees think about their salary? What do county employees think about the general status of the county when it impacts them? We don't know. And now we're living in cubicles, with even less contact than we had prior to March of this past year.
Here's the problem with this one.
Yeah.
Mr. Lucas.
Yeah, go ahead.
This human resources has really been stretched thin,
Okay.
their ability, and to put a timeline of 60 days because of the COVID, the turnover in personnel, I don't know if you really fully grasp the amount of work those 3 people do in that particular office. Years ago, when we had the Weatherwood and things weren't as hectic as they are now, we had 4 people. We eliminated one. And if you want to do things like this, it's going to require additional manpower and hours. And we all have been trying to eliminate extra hours in the office because of the costs and everything else. But to put a burden on them within the next 60 days, such as this, it's just asking a lot of our employees and stressing them out even more. You know yourself how many calls they get on weekends, at night, and everything that they do there because of the COVID, so.
Okay. Move to modify the amendment to read no later than 180 days.
Unfortunately, I don't think we can guarantee at this point in time what the COVID is going to be like at 180 days.
Therefore, then move to modify to read no later than 31 December 2021.
Okay, then I'll second that one.
Thank you.
And I think what we have to research into this a little bit more too, that if we're adding all of these motions that are being made, that we're adding extra work to all the departments, this should be another department. I think I just heard you say that there were 4 people in that department. Maybe here's another department that we have to add a person to, you know, and we're trying to keep the costs down. And I mean, I don't know what to do about this. Are we overstepping our bounds with negotiations that people are telling us? You know, I don't know, you know, if we're going out to everybody. And I said, it's good to see if what your employees think of you. And I mean, I thought there was like a drop box that could be put up and send them all an email, a questionnaire, and let them send it.
But what are the other elected officials in the row offices, how do they feel about this? Is the court going to do this? Are you getting the full story?
The
You're gonna
Director of
have-
Human Resources within 60 days are now modified to 31 December in consultation with employee union reps, the court administrator, row officers, and department directors. Again, if a row officer for some reason doesn't want to participate, now understand, 1620 authority doesn't prevent the commissioners from communicating with county employees, regardless if they work for row officers or not. Just like an employee doesn't have to respond to a survey, to an anonymous survey of 25 questions or 20 questions, but whatever gives us a sense of the work environment and the needs of our employees.
Call for vote.
Mr. Arner,
Not at this time.
Mr. Lukasevich,
Yes?
Mr. Notstein.
Yes.
For approval, beginning with the fiscal year 2022 budget, all departments and offices requesting funding from the Board of Commissioners will submit methods and measures of effectiveness.
Move to approve. So the fact is, unless they set goals and objectives, we don't know how our departments are performing. We have no idea how well the row offices are doing. Fortunately, some of them have provided. We've actually had a couple good detailed ones. I think one was the clerk of courts. The Thonotary provides us good insight, and we do have some regular reports come to us, but they're not measured against any metric. So we don't really know if they're being effective and efficient in their use of county resources. So, go ahead.
I can't support anything like that at this time until you come up with some good way of measures to how can you compare a lot of the different offices that their workload changes constantly up and down at times a year. How do you measure, how do you set your parameters on this? It's just.
Each department head and row office has to determine the method and measures of effectiveness. And obviously, we would like to think they would be objective and honest as they develop them. Again, there's always a chance for individuals understating or overstating. But again, this also gives the opportunity, is the motivation for them to look at their organization and to see how well they're doing on a regular basis. It's just like performance evaluations, right? If you give performance evaluations each year, you're asking your employees to set objectives and goals, methods and measures of effectiveness for your employees. And I understand the performance appraisal system is broken in the county, even though we have a policy. But nonetheless, if it was properly utilized, that could feed in easily to department measures and methods of effectiveness. What are we trying to accomplish? How well are we doing along that trail in order to accomplish what we've been required to do by county code and the services we're expected to provide residents?
And like when we went over like all our salary board things, when we in fact I think Mark Zverchak had a couple different comments how to like they should be submitting things to us, you know, like how much it cost, what this extra cost is going to be, what it's going to do to the department. And I thought we discussed that at salary board that we were going to change, you know, like the different forms or whatever that people are filling in, because you look at some of them hadn't. I said, I think even if, like you mentioned a couple, and I said with the sheriff's department, they went down that this were the procedures all the way through the whole thing. And I thought that's what we were going to have in their new submissions, you know, when they get their packet with that they're sending the budget to us for the discussion on that.
And I think the controller did mention some additions to help us better understand what's going on. And some of the row officers in departments that we talked to, you know, kind of mostly when it came to salary increases, did a pretty good job of laying out why they think based upon performance and stuff. Oh, again, this is, I throw it out there again. And I'll leave it at that. Again, I think we should be all held to a standard, and we should have something to measure ourselves against. And this is part of that.
Yeah, I think we did ask most of the department heads or elected officials in particular, you know, to change the form a little bit and request more of that information, you know, of to why.
So how about that? This is, I'll go ahead. I'm going to rescind this motion. I'm going to let this play out through the next budget process and see the type of information they provide.
Well,
and talk to them.
And I'm thinking something too, like as we progress throughout the year.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about changing these forms, having more information in it. I think throughout the year that when do they send the packets out to them, Ellie? In October or?
They go out in August.
Oh, in August.
Yeah.
So there might be something that when we have another salary board meeting, maybe it should be discussed that what is going to be on these forms, you know, instead of us getting, okay, they need this, they need that, and we want the dollar amount. And I think that was the suggestion that Mark made, the dollar amount, what it was going to increase per person, you know, what each person was getting in a dollar amount raised. And I think maybe that would be a better avenue of trying to find out, you know, what they're doing.
I think we need to do a little bit more of the homework there and conveying what we want of those department heads on those forms, and you know, try to refine it so they understand totally what we want. Again, you did to say that some of the people requesting different things did an excellent job.
And some didn't do such a good job, but nonetheless, I mean, everyone had the opportunity.
You know, we had a lot of new people this year, and that's part of the problem. But some of the ones that did good were new people as well.
So I rescinded that one.
Okay.
Okay, the next item is commencing with the fiscal year 2022 Carbon County budget process. All non-county entities receiving funds from county taxpayers will provide an overview on the methods and measures of effectiveness of supported programs.
I would say the same thing for this one, that let us be more explicit on what we're requiring.
Yeah, and what has happened, Commissioner, I've been watching these letters come in from entities, and basically what they are saying, thank you for the money you gave last year, give us the same this year. The exception was, I will tell you, I was really impressed. The request that came down from Weatherly Library, very detailed, gave a really good indication, I think, if not specified, implied how they were using our resources that we provided them. And we should have that expectation for every organization. At least lay out how you used last year's money and what you're going to do with this year's money. So we're able to point for county residents and say, your tax dollars supported this initiative, this program. And that's why we felt that X, Y, or Z was an appropriate recipient of your tax dollars. So I'll go ahead and rescind that motion, and I will make the effort for those entities, and I think it's less than a dozen actually, that receive at least budget line items. Yeah, exactly. You know, the libraries are an example. I think maybe the fire chiefs might be one. There's a few of them. I'll reach out to them and say, hey, in your subsequent, requests, hey, just let us know what you did and what you're gonna do.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, like we have everybody from our own departments coming in.
Yeah.
Maybe, and I know the library was here one time thanking us, but it might be something in the future. Just all these people have a basic meeting with them and see what their goals are for the future. Like that. I know we don't need any more meetings, but that might be something. At least then maybe we can understand what they're using the money for.
Yep.
Okay, the next item. For approval no later than January 31st, 2021, a working group comprised of representation from departments under the Commissioner's Office, Row Office, and the courts be established to assess the viability and develop a roadmap for the gradual elimination of non-essential Carbon County government's 23 post office boxes at the U.S. Post Office, Jim Thorpe, which currently costs the taxpayer in excess of $55,000 annually.
So I'll move to approve. So 31 January is simply to designate individuals or find individuals, and I would think obviously our mail clerk leading up that effort to kind of look into the PO boxes. Now there are a couple PO boxes would probably have to be retained, possibly. And that would probably be elections because of the large amount of mail that comes in there. Understand the physical space to have a centralized location for the Postal Service to deliver mail is already available. We have the pigeonholes or the cubicles. We have the metering room. We're actually going to have an extra room available down on the second floor here in about 6 months when veterans move out of there. And there is also additional space on that floor should space need to be utilized in order that there can be a single point of entry of mail into county government. And then it all moves through intra-government carrier as it does right now. I would say, the individual who would assume that responsibility, their duties and responsibilities might expand a little bit. I looked at the duty position of the current mail clerk, and some increase in salary, if an increased workload does take place, would need to be considered. So I'm talking $2,000 or $3,000 in additional salary compared to $52,000 in savings.
But if you don't have, depending on the amount of boxes that you can eliminate, you will not have that $55,000 savings.
No.
Here's the problem, though. In some of these offices, and I talked to the sheriff, and when we have things that are of confidentiality, I agree with you 100%. We could not do it with elections. Less people that touch those mail-in ballots, etc., the better. We have seasonal things like in the assessment office when we're doing the not the home rule, the homestead exemption. Extension Act. Now we're going to have a person that's going to be sorting mail, and mail isn't, if it goes to a post office box, we know exactly where it goes. Might leaves the way some mail comes in, it's messed up now. People just don't address it to the right place. But it would be very time consuming, in my opinion, to have someone have to sort the volume of mail that these offices get. And I would recommend, instead of a working group, what does one office compared to the office? Why do you have to have them sitting there listening to why this person needs the box? I would say do it on an individual basis. If you want to talk to these people, fine. But, you know, as a working group, you're just wasting a lot of time in meetings, listening to other people's issues and instead of your own, addressing your own.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, just approach them and like with the different departments, there's maybe mail that's time sensitive, you know, and if it comes here, what happens if it's here for 2 days? And like I said, our mail lady, I see her going all the time. I never see her sitting still. So how much more work are we gonna give her? And then we go back to this again. Are we gonna have to an additional person or pay her overtime? So that, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't mind as if he would wanna approach these people and say, hey, do you want your mailbox or not? I have no issue
Do
with
you
that.
need it or not?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
well, that's the thing. They're not going to objectively, some will not objectively look at it. First thing they're gonna say, well, I have to change all my stationery. Well, I'll say, I'll take $10,000 and change everyone's stationery overnight. And I'll take that $10,000 and I'll pay print for you, or I'll pay Mylan to go ahead and reprint that. And I'll be helping the local economy. So that'll be the first argument that pops up, changing our stationery versus saying, well, you know what, we'll buy you 1,000 labels. And until your supply runs out, you're good to go. The second one is there's going to be that resistance because we know it takes 15 minutes for an individual to go down there and they basically use that as an additional break during the day, right? And then they have a smoke break on the way back. That's additional time. And look, we want folks to get out, get some fresh air, get refreshed because you don't want them sitting at their desks for 7 hours straight. But the fact is we're wasting taxpayer money, we're wasting taxpayer time by having 23 different individuals every day taking 15 minutes to walk down to the post office, walk back to their desk, and revamp up their work.
You have my suggestion that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We had.
Vote.
only the
Do a
vote.
vote. Oh no, it died.
No.
Okay.
Was there even a motion?
No, yes, there was. I did.
There was,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But it wasn't seconded.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, no second. Motion dies, still have a second. For approval effective immediately, the public comment period of all county public meetings to include but not limited to the Board of Commissioners, elections, salary, retirement, planning, railroad, and prison board is renamed public comment and question with the purposes of increasing transparency, accountability, and interaction between county residents and county commissioners.
Move to amend the motion to indicate effective termination of the emergency declaration for COVID-19. And we can expect actually public to be physically present again. The point of this is there's no hour more important in my work week than this meeting. The opportunity for those few minutes to engage with the public en masse and provide them insight into the working of government, what is influencing or what is impacting my decision making, my yay, my nay, in regards to the motions that are taking place. And there is no doubt, having sat here since August of 2016 in these meetings, more so than any other private citizen, to be frustrated, not actually understanding what the motions meant. And as a public citizen, while I don't mind the fact that I'm not fully engaged in the decision-making process, I am frustrated when I don't understand or have a clue of the relevance, the importance of an item being voted on. Also, it's frustrating when there is no forum other than this meeting in which formally the citizens have a chance to interact with their commissioners, with the decision makers, and present their opinion and seek clarification. This board has been extremely good with entertaining questions and given the public the opportunity to engage with us. We've been very lenient with the rules of order in regards to that. And, you know, I won't understate, you know, how welcoming that has been, I think, to the public since January 6th. But I do think we can do better. And again, I have nothing else more important to do on this day than to be here, making informed decisions and allowing public citizens to present their position based on agenda items and to get clarification for agenda items that they were able to start reviewing 24 hours prior. And this is not an unfamiliar protocol or process. Summit Hill Borough is a perfect example that does this every time. Are there any questions from the floor? Are there any comments from the floor after every motion?
I disagree with that, every motion, but I don't have a problem with up front there, beginning of the meeting. I don't want to, you know, get into debates because
Sure.
It's pretty hard. And sometimes there may be times when, you know, confidential items may be of importance or a consideration. I don't want to get into debates after every motion. And I feel that if they have the agenda prior to the meeting, that they can certainly, and we have been giving them that opportunity to not only, we have had discussions and questions. And I don't have a problem with that if it's a productive discussion and legitimate. And we all know there are some people out there that just are off the wall, let's say. No way I could put that down.
Right.
But, you know, and I don't think we want to lose control of a meeting and allow things to get out of hand. But I think the way we're doing it now at the beginning of the meeting would, you know, and maybe loosen up a slight bit. You know, I don't have a problem doing that, but not after every motion.
Well, I have faith in you with the gavel to maintain order, right? You'll grab the gavel and when necessary.
And I'm too lenient sometimes, allowing them to talk about things that are not relevant to the meeting. So.
No, like I said, I think this year has been pretty darn good in regards to interaction. The little bit we've been able to have given, you know, the challenging year.
COVID really set us back there, and unfortunately, we don't get those questions on the Facebook or.
Right, yeah, but we give them the opportunity.
They have the opportunity, and they have the opportunity when we have public meetings that they can visit and.
Well, and I think on this comment too, like with, Ellie was in my office today and I pulled my drawer out and my drawer is full of phone calls. There's only one person that's laying on my desk that I didn't get back to the issue and I didn't get the answer. I think this whole year, we've been accommodating to people to give them, I mean, you know, we had, you know, right to know things that they called and they had it in a couple minutes. And it's like, I don't think we as a group could be any better with a rule than what we are. So I'm thinking it works good for this. I think we ought to just keep it the way it is right now.
Well, I'll leave the motion stand, so as is, and we'll let it either it gets a second or it dies. You know, it's that easy.
No second? Motion dies for lack of a second.